So right now, the camera that's shooting us is the Sony FX30, which I've had now for, I don't know, 2 years or something. I don't remember now. I've had it for quite some time now, and it's been a great camera. At my new job, my new place of employment, we also use the Sony FX3s. So now I've been using full frame cameras, and that's something I don't really ever do. I'm very fond of crop sensor cameras, and that's just typically what I shoot with. But today I want to talk a little bit about what I've learned about S-Log3 when it comes to the FX30 and the FX3. Now, if you follow the channel, you know that I really don't love using log in pretty much any camera. At least not for the things I do, like these YouTube videos, for weddings, for other events, for like smaller commercials and things. I just use the picture profiles that are in the camera, and I do some modifications to them. So in this particular camera, the FX30 and even the FX3, you have picture profile 11, which is that cine tone. Everybody seems to like it, including me. I think it's very good. And there's a whole bunch of other picture profiles you can use. So here's the thing. I find that S-Log3 and the FX3, like everyone says, is amazing in low light, with a caveat, right? You have to use either 800 or 12,800 ISO to achieve the best image. If you stray off of those native ISOs, it really looks bad. So I want to show you some of the tests I did here in the office, right? Wearing this same black shirt against a really dark background with the two cameras. And I'm gonna take it and show you like different ISOs and show you the difference between the two cameras when you're in S-Log3. $3,200, 4,000, 5,000, 6,400, 8,000, 10,000, and 2,800. And it's -0.3 in the metering. Just looking at the camera, it looks underexposed to me. Like it needs a little bit more exposure, I would probably. So that's why Sony gives you that Cine EI mode, which I've talked about on this channel before, if you don't understand what that is. But basically, it just locks you in to one of the two native ISOs. And a native ISO is basically just the ISO that the camera performs best at. And these two cameras both have two instead of one, right? So 800 and 12,800 for the FX3. Now, I've done a video about Cine EI when it comes to the FX30 on this channel and just S-Log in general. And the results aren't exactly what you would expect, right? Because everybody says you have to use Cine EI or you're gonna get the worst image. That is true on the FX3. It is not true on the FX30. And now having both of the cameras, I've done the side-by-side comparisons. 1,600. 2,000. 2,500. 3,200. 4,000. 5,000. 6,400. 8,000. 10,000. 12,800. And the funny thing is, it is 0.3 underexposed. And the music that we're listening to right now is provided by Soundstripe, which I've been using for about 5 years, and I absolutely love it because it saves me from getting copyright strikes here on YouTube. So if you're interested, there are some links down below in the description that will save you a little bit of money. And again, I still hold firm to what I said in my other videos. When it comes to the FX30, if you're shooting S-Log3, I absolutely still feel ditch Cine EI and just do flexible ISO because you're going to get much better results. I find that in the FX30, there's grain in the S-Log image in low light situations, pretty much in any ISO. It just kind of is how the camera is, but it's still a very usable image. So you will have a little grain in the shadows and stuff, but it's not bad. Like, it doesn't look bad. It still looks very good. The FX3 though, totally different. If you're shooting at something like 6400 ISO on the FX3, because that's not the native ISO of either 800 or 12,800, it looks like total crap. Excuse me. Like total crap, okay? It looks like total crap. But on the FX30, it's different. That's not a native ISO, but if you shoot at 6400 ISO and your scene calls for 6400 ISO in S-Log, it actually doesn't look bad. So you can't treat the two cameras the exact same in terms of like the S-Log shooting. Because I'm constantly in different forums, like or different groups in Facebook and stuff. People are always complaining about, they're so surprised that the FX30 looks so bad in S-Log. And it looks bad because you guys keep using the Cine EI. You're sticking to 2500 ISO, which really isn't that much in terms of sensitivity. In an indoor environment with low light, that's not a lot. So now you have to boost it in post and like boost your exposure while you're editing. And you're just boosting all the noise. And that looks really, really bad on that camera. 2500. So here's the thing. This is the bottom line. When it comes to the FX3 full frame camera, and you want to shoot an S-Log, because some of y'all, you just love your S-Log, whatever. If you want to shoot an S-Log, you got to leave it on 800 or 12,800, which means it is good for you to use the Cine EI mode because that locks you into either or. And then when you're indoors, obviously, sometimes 12,800 is going to be too much. You got to use something like a variable ND to adjust your exposure. That's kind of the best thing to do. It doesn't have to be variable. You could just throw a regular ND on there if you want. I prefer variable because it just makes adjusting exposure more precise, but that's just me. I know some people don't like it. They think you can get those cross lines in it, maybe with extremely cheap ones, but yeah, that doesn't happen very often. I mean, you really have to get like a really bad one for that to happen. I'll put some links below to some of the ones that I use that maybe you can look into because I've never had that problem with them. And if you're interested, go ahead and check them out. But anyway, use Cine EI with the FX3. When you're using the FX30, I still say if you're shooting an S-Log, forget about Cine EI and just use flexible ISO and expose the picture to your ISO. Expose it to wherever you need to expose it to get your image right. And then once you do that, you're not going to have a lot of noise in your shadows and it's going to look really good. That's what I found in my testing. That's what I've been seeing using both of these cameras. I still think both cameras are amazing. I think if you really need the best low light performance, you get the FX3. But the low light performance on the FX30, I find is very impressive for an APS-C camera. Is really amazing. I can take this thing up to 12,800 and still have a very, very usable image with it. That's an S-Log, and especially when I'm not in S-Log and I have the picture profile off, or I'm using S-Cinetone, or you're using HLG, you get really good results with the FX30, and you get extremely good results with the FX3. Two amazing cameras. But in the next video, I'm going to talk more about the FX3 compared to the FX30 and just overall usability, you know, the whole full frame versus crop sensor, and what I found with both cameras and which one I prefer. So make sure you subscribe for that. Go ahead and like the video if you found that this is helping you out. And please, I know it's going to make some of you mad. You hate when I downplay the Cine EI stuff on the FX30, and you know, I'm an idiot for saying that. But if you don't believe me, just test it yourself. You know, I'm showing you the proof right now, but if you don't believe me, test it yourself and tell me that I'm wrong after you test it yourself. Because it's like it doesn't even really need to be in the camera. It just doesn't make that much of a difference on the FX30. So there you go. As always, I'm Mike Turner. Thanks for watching, and I guess I'll see you soon.